From that generation that's still alive is Mick Jagger. How did he skirt through all this?
Well, they did target Mick Jagger in a big way. It's just that, there was death threats against him for sure. And he was very anti-war too. And when he came out with some anti-war songs, they were unpopularized. I mean, they were having #1 hits again and again. And that song and that album were kind of unpromoted, when he started coming out with more activist songs. I think it was Just a Shot Away or another song like that. So I believe he was threatened, he was targeted, and someone almost killed him at a concert, the Altamont concert in 1969, or I believe it was in the United States. Someone stepped up on the stage, and some Hell's Angels were involved in that concert. But so these Hell's Angels killed this black man who had stepped up on the stage. Now, these Hell's Angels were messed up, people, for sure. And of course, it was horrible that they killed this black man. But the real, all the best evidence of that situation were that in the video of that actual event was that this tall black man in a suit stepped up on the stage with a gun in his hand, and right within feet of Mick Jagger. So this was a murder attempt about to happen. And they just pulled him off. The Hells Angels pulled him off the stage and beat him, sadly, to death. But at the same time, I mean, as horrible as that was, that they beat him to death, it's horrible that this guy was about to get up on stage with a gun in his hand and possibly kill Mick Jagger. And so it's a bizarre thing, but that was one of the threats. And so Mick Jagger did almost get killed himself. And who would do that? I mean, why would someone do that unless there were drugs and hypnosis and things like that used on him to have him do that, and put himself in jail the rest of his life, or possibly murdered like happened.
Well, a fantastic journey with John Potash. We've got 10 minutes left, and we are backed up to the hilt with questions, folks.
Thanks for the questions, guys.
I'm trying to get through them, but you might have to contact him or watch his film. In the film, John.
Guys, let me just tell you, some of you who don't get your questions asked, that you can send me questions to your website if you'd like. If through my website, I mean, johnpotash.com. You can go there and feel free to ask me some questions, after you see my film. I'd be happy to answer questions about it. Okay.
So in the film, you talk about the WEF and the green that people smoke, and WEF leaders appear to tie the fascism at the start of the film to the end. Can you expand on that? Yeah, well, I think green, is by itself, it's relatively innocuous. It's not a major issue, but if they're just doing it every now and then. But in the United States, they're putting additives into it. They're putting stuff into it that are really messing some people's heads up. And I've seen this in some people that I've counseled before I got more completely into trauma therapy, and was still doing a little bit of addictions counseling. And it's just very sad when people's minds are totally messed up by these, whatever kind of additive they put in the street weed. And so there's that, and then there's the people that develop a daily weed habit, and it hurts their minds for doing their best activist work. I mean, we have a hard enough time doing activist work when we have to, work so hard to make a living. I mean, I work full time as a psychotherapist, and it's really hard to get that little bit of time I do have to put out these books and films. And so, I have to be as sharp as possible. And so does Sean, obviously, to do all the great work he does, with his podcast, but also with his writing. And so if we were smoking green daily, it would be hard to fit in all this activist work and be our sharpest. And when you have the WEF, the World Economic Forum, devising all these horrible things against us, it's just, they have all the money, and we just have to have our best wits about us and our best, sharpest minds about us to counter that.
I argue, and that's why I would say, please, if be careful about that, developing a problem with that.
Yeah, Klaus does not have our best interests at heart.
Right.
Alice is asking, where do we see the film and get the book? Just remind the viewers, because there's a lot more people watching now than at the beginning.
Great. Thanks, guys. Well, so you can get the book. I mean, you can see the film CIA Drugs Are Us, Drugs as Weapons sequel on Tubi for free, or you can see it without ads for $1.99 at YouTube Movies, rental movies, or at Google Play. I know it's available that way in the United States. I hope that it's available in some of those ways in Britain, but in the UK, I believe it is. And the book, Drugs as Weapons Against Us, is available. I know it's available in Britain, and it's available in the United States in many places, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, places like that.
Petapetiol is wondering what you're working on next.
I'm not sure. Sorry, I just don't know yet. I keep saying I'm gonna do maybe a semi-autobiographical novel, activist novel, but I'm just not sure.
Smog wants to know, do you believe COINTELPRO is still being used today, but just under a different name? Are podcasters working for US intelligence? And while you answer that, I'm just going to change my camera battery, so don't worry about my
Okay. So, yeah, no, I definitely believe COINTELPRO is still being used today, along with MKUltra. And our podcasters working for U.S. intelligence today. Well, definitely not Sean Atwood. I can tell you that, because he does great work. But I'm sure there's some podcasters that are working for U.S. intelligence. I can't say exactly who, but I try not to watch podcasters that come out with their sound like talking pieces for U.S. intelligence. I try to just listen to people like Sean and others that are putting good information out there.
Yeah, and I've lost my channel twice over the good information we've been putting out there. So I ain't in the club. Is Elton John a CIA asset? Ooh.
I like some of Elton John's work, of course, but I have no idea about Elton John. I don't know what he's done that would suggest he's a CIA asset. Maybe someone does. I just don't know.
Rose wants to know, John, how do you cope with all of this?
By just funneling my sadness and fears into my work, and just and then trying to make jokes out of it, like, throughout my film, and parody songs throughout the film to make it easier to get through the dark stuff by making fun of it.
The Freak, has John released documents supporting all of this?
Yeah, I have in my first version of the FBI War on Tupac Shakur, which is called the FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders. I had a number of documents, FBI documents in there, and different other court documents. I do have a number of documents in the Drugs as Weapons Against Us book and the Drugs as Weapons Against Us film, and I have some in CIA Drugs Are Us. But the most I might have is in that first version of the book, the FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders. For some reason, my new publisher, for when they changed the title of the FBI War on Tupac Shakur, State Repression of Black Leaders, they took out all my pictures and documents. I can't say why. I mean, they got the names of the documents in the end notes, but they were worried about getting sued, maybe, by taking out pictures of the documents. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. I lost control of that.
Gordon, do you believe there's always been corrupt feds, insiders around?
Yes, I do. For at least since what I documented since the 1950s. But yes, I do, no doubt. I see the next question too. Did you want to read that?
What do you think about bands like Rage Against the Machine?
I love Rage Against the Machine. I mean, you could have expected that. If you haven't seen them in concert, you have to see them in concert. They're amazing in concert. And I think their political lyrics are excellent.
they're great musicians, but Zach De La Rocha is a great songwriter. I've talked to him. I talked to him about some of the information that I end up putting in the FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders, and I also included it in Drugs as Weapons Against Us. And yeah, I think they do great work. And so I think somebody tried to break them up, but I'm so glad they got back together again, because I just saw them again, when they in their latest tour. And so, yeah.
So, John, when Ash booked you to come on years ago, he's been excitedly talking about you coming back at some point, and here you are back now. So he's going to love watching this tomorrow. He's over in
Thanks, Ash.
in the Philippines, and we've done the full 90 minutes. The questions are still backed up to the hill.
Okay.
Just as mind blowing as the first time you came on, John.
Thanks so much.
I really appreciate you spending time with us, and all of John's links are down there. So follow his work, and if you've got any more direct links that you want to email me to the videos where people can watch it, send me those. I'll get those in there tonight as well. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion to the viewers, John?
No, I just really appreciate all your questions, and I appreciate you listening to all this, and I hope you guys. The film, I think, is much more entertaining than me, no doubt about it. We got parody songs in there of the Beach Boys and the Mamas and the Papas and the Clash, even though, of course, I love the Clash, but I had to have a parody song in there that relates to some of the topics, and of Chuck Berry, because of a Chuck Berry video that he did with John Lennon and Yoko Ono, where Chuck Berry is just like shocked by Yoko Ono, and Bill Burr narrates, the comedian Bill Burr, and also got Chris Rock, the comedian Chris Rock, on Tupac's murder. And so I think you're really gonna like the film much better than this talk. But I appreciate you listening, and hope you enjoyed this talk too. Okay.